That Matt Denise banger.
The head bobbles were going nuts.
I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, Matt Denise wrote our opening music, and he really killed it. I gave him a prompt, and he did great. He did great work.
He is a man of so many talents.
Yeah,
He's a
seriously,
G.
multi-talented, just one of the best people on planet Earth. When we're done recording, I'll tell you about the conversation him and I were having yesterday.
Wow, can't wait.
Intrigue. Hello, welcome back to the Wheel Talk podcast. My name is Abby Mickey, and I'm here with friends to talk about women's professional road cycling. We have Trofeo Alfredo Binda to talk about, and we're going to talk about Milan San Remo. We've got a ton to cover today. With me, as always, Gracie Alvin.
Hey, never know who you're going to pick first, but good to be here as always.
I don't know if the layout's the same. I'm pretty sure it is clockwise. Georgie, how?
Hey guys, not in my dressing gown tonight, but I am in a muscle tee, so same.
With some fabulous lighting as well.
Oh, it's a fantastic lamp, actually. Look at that.
And
very
Loren.
moody.
G'day, everyone. Definitely not the same lighting as Georgie. I am in a black box.
You're in the void.
Yeah, in the void. Indeed.
Well, we're here, as I said, to talk about Trofeo Alfredo Binda. It happened on Sunday. This race, well, I wrote a piece last week, why you should care about Trofeo Alfredo Binda, and I talked to some of the biggest names in cycling. And then as the live coverage was starting and I was watching on the ticker what was going on, and it was Elise Lamborghini solo off the front, and I was like, why is there no live coverage? It's 35K to go. And I was reminded why people have a hard time loving Trofeo Alfredo Binda. C'est la vie. It's a small organization.
Lovely.
And yeah, I mean, good one, Georgie. I wish they could give us more live coverage, but I think hopefully someday we will see more, because there was a lot that happened in the early stages of the race. The wind was a lot more impactful than I think we saw in the live coverage. Heard from a couple riders that the crosswinds and the headwinds, especially on the small climb, the headwind on that climb and coming over the top of that climb on the circuits meant that any attacks on that small climb were completely pointless. And I think also explains a little bit about why a lot of the attacks we saw came to nothing, even though, yeah, I think they would have blown the peloton apart in previous years, but we will talk about the level of the peloton for sure. But it was helped by some nasty headwinds. There was a couple huge crashes. One crash on the third lap just before the live coverage started took out most of the peloton, and it was able to regroup a bit. But there were definitely a couple riders and teams that felt the sting of that. Yeah. A big crash with 3 laps to go that took out most of the peloton and impacted some teams negatively. Going into the final 3 laps, we saw a lot of attacks from the strongest climbers in the race. Of course, Elise Lamborghini, multi-time winner of this race, Italian champ. It's close to home. She was really keen to try to get away. Kasia Niewiadoma wasn't letting her out of her sight. Some really great riding from Celia Jerry, who's the U23 world champ. In the end, it came down to, it was a small reduced group, and an attack from UAE Team ADQ brought a selection of 6 riders to the front of the race, 3 of them from the same team. It ended up being 3 riders coming to the line together: Caroline Swinkels, Anna van der Breggen, and May Bjorndal Utstad. And Swinkels took her first World Tour win over Anna van der Breggen. In the group behind, Blanca Voss, van der Breggen's teammate, sprinted to 4th, which is another notable thing that we will definitely talk about. It was a great race. I'm so excited that Swinkels finally got a World Tour win. Like, I feel like she has been so close on so many occasions, and she's always an animator. She's an incredible domestique, and whenever she gets a chance, she animates the race. And it was like the way that the race shook out. UAE Team ADQ had multiple options, and I feel like a lot of times that can cripple a team because they have the team split in too many directions. But the way that they're riding right now, and really the way that they have been riding for the last 2 years, they were able to use those options in a productive manner where you had Elisa Longoborghini just doing Elisa Longoborghini things. And then you had Caroline Swinkles waiting for the sprint. She said after the race that she wasn't supposed to go in a break. She was supposed to wait for the sprint. But when 3 of them got off the front together, I mean, of course, that was the fact that that was able to get away, a breakaway with 3 UAE riders, is just like mind blown a little bit. But I think there were so many attacks that happened before that point that it was just a matter of like the right attack going at the right time when there was enough tired legs in the peloton and also teams that were just disorganized.
I mean, this is the second time this season that we've had a group of UAE. Should we make a collective noun for when a group of UAE go off the front? Because it's happened twice now.
I mean, they basically just
barrel.
took the Trofeo Aura.
What did you say, Gracie?
A barrel of UAE.
A barrel of UAE. That's good. All right. So a barrel. So this is the second time a barrel of UAE has gone off the front. You liked that, didn't you, Gracie? And just laughing. Well done. But it's like the first, not the first time this has happened. And I know we talked about it last week with, and I think Matt Deneef wrote a fantastic piece about Binda as well for this race. But how FDJ were fantastic at Strade Bianche, and how SD Worx coming back into the fore. But yeah, UAE is consistently just there. Like they haven't perfected. I mean, they were pretty damn perfect in Binda, but like they're hitting their straps really nicely this season. So I'm super excited to see what the top looks like in terms of the top teams, because I think we're going to have some really interesting battles go on in those top, like, I mean, even AG hasn't really hit their straps yet. But like maybe we'll have like 3 or 4 teams that are really similar in capability, and like we saw in Strada, punches are just going to be thrown. It's going to be full boxing match season, which is going to be brilliant. But yeah, I don't think this will be the last time that we see a barrel of any team go off the front.
I mean, it's one of those situations where it's like, oh, this is just crazy enough, it might work. But I feel like it wasn't a matter of like, they hit the race at the perfect time for that to get away. They had an SD Worx rider in there, and had they not, they would have been hopefully the team to chase. But like Little Trek was discombobulated. They couldn't really do anything. AG didn't have the numbers. Canyon didn't have the numbers. Like no one else really had the ability to organize. UAE was the strongest team in the race because they had, Elisa throwing every attack she could possibly manage. They had, whenever Elisa wasn't throwing attacks, they had, Sylvia Persico riding the front. So they had just so much control of the entire race, which is exactly what we saw at Trofeo Aura, the race that they also had a barrel of riders go off the front and win with Elisa Longoborghini. And I think they had a similar situation at Strade Bianche where they had the numbers in the group, but in that scenario, the FDJ had the stronger team on the day. So they just had the strongest team in the race. Like I don't think there's any way around it.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
I think part of that as well is they had the strongest team, but each of those team members has that belief as well in the overall goal of the team. So like with Swinkle, she was meant to, we've seen this race come down to a reduced group sprint. So maybe they were hoping for that if, say, Elisa hadn't gone off the front, or someone like Gasparini, for example. So just having that self-belief and then full commitment to the plan. Once that group was gone, it was full commitment. You could see it. Persico tearing herself inside out. I think they know, I mean, people who have raced this race, 35th edition, know that on the last lap in particular, if the gap is 20 seconds and you have a group like you have behind where you have riders that are maybe isolated, maybe you had Marianne Vos there with Sarah Van Damme. You had AG Insurance with the 2 riders. And then we saw as well EF Education, but there was just not enough organization, not those super strong riders that can do those huge pulls to sort of bring it back. And then it blows apart anyway on that Arenio climb. So I think with that in mind, they're like, let's just drill it. They knew it was going to explode on the small climb before, but by that point, the race is gone. So I knew if they got to that small climb with enough of a gap, knowing that Otterstad was there, Swinkle's clearly in superb form. We've seen that she has been. And then Anna van der Breggen on a cracking day. So she's starting to find those legs, that it was going to happen. So, yeah, sort of unsurprising that it went in the end and they were unable to pull it back.
Yeah, I think what's happening with UAE and FDJ so far this season is really interesting, and it tells us a lot about mindset and also team culture and how powerful those two elements are in success. Of course, results and winning breed good morale and more success, but I think that they've put some really good things in place for that ember of momentum to be snowballing now, and that seems to be good leadership from the cars, potentially good leadership within the riders, and some nice self-belief. So they're not defaulting to defensive. They're not defaulting to, we're just going to ride for one person every single time because that's safe. I think there's such a fine line there between making sure your plan is good and that you have a plan A and then you can fall back to plan B or C, versus just being fluid and opportunistic. And I think that FDJ and UAE, they do seem to have a plan A, but their ability to pivot is really strong. And I think that's just that nuance that we are not seeing in other teams like Trek. They seem like a little bit lost at the moment. They haven't had results and their morale is down. Like it's a confluence of factors. It's not one thing. It's lots of things. But yeah, UAE and FDJ are definitely setting the benchmark for not just a stacked talent team, but it's like how they're managing that.
Well, it's like how we said last week, like, you know how we're like, oh, it's hard when you have like a team of leaders who's going to lead. But I honestly think that this is the new way of bike racing in women's cycling, which is awesome. Like, and that's great because you know how like you rock up to a race and you're like, oh, like, who's your leader for today? And everyone bloody knows who the leader is. Like, you know, what's the plan for today? Everyone bloody knows what the plan is. But if we have this new brand of cycling where every team is like adaptable in the moment, and has confidence in the adaptability of every single one of their riders riding that day, then that completely changes the game. How can DSs then predict what indeed will happen? Because, you know, you're in a rider meeting before a race and they're like, oh, well, we know like X, Y, and Z from A, B, and C team will be the leaders. So to our GC rider, it's like, well, you just oscillate around them. But like, what if that's not the case? What if you like, so rock up to a Grand Tour and you got 7 riders? I mean, wouldn't be a Grand Tour because you got more difference in rider types probably there. But like, you know what I mean? Like you rock up and it's like almost all of a sudden you really don't have a solid footing on who's going to be the leader for that day. Like I think that just blows out a whole new genre of racing, which is super exciting.
I mean, it takes away any predictability that we have the trap of falling into, which I feel like is like comparing men's and women's is dangerous, but the men's racing at the moment has so much predictability, like down to obviously who's going to win the race. Depending on, like, if you look at Strada, for example, it was like a race for second. And then there's predictability within the teams of who's going to lead the team and how the team dynamic is going to be. And so having multiple leaders, but having the team be able to be like basically in a way fly by the seat of their pants, but like with a plan. Like
yeah, it's like everyone knows like the strengths of each rider and like backs that in, you know, like but yeah, it is like fly by the seat of their pants, but with confidence.
I think part of this is, just while you were talking, it's all linked to the progression of the women's side of the sport, the money and the focus on performance. So what I mean by that is each team now has a performance manager. So in the car, there was a video from Strada Bianchi of the head of performance, one of the top coaches in FDJ, who is a coach of Franzi Koch. And, you know, she was so excited, and it was really great to see that emotion. But speaking about like UAE and that team that went in, or the team that went into Strada, they know exactly now, in this era of cycling, the training, the recovery, everything that has led up to the moment of the race. So as long as everything goes to plan, they know exactly what those riders are capable, the sort of efforts they can do. So while the race is playing out, they can say, okay, well, she's done this amount of efforts, and I think it's within her capacity to still be able to do this at the end of the race. And the riders know that themselves. So it is an interesting thing. I'm curious to hear your opinions on it, but it just got me thinking about just the whole performance element and really having control of the training and the training peaks of all the riders. And they really make the decision of who shows up to races based on how they've been performing beforehand, only in the races, but the training, the recovery, all of it is taken into consideration. So when the DS is sitting in the car with a performance manager, they can make decisions on the fly.
Yeah, it's I mean, as you were talking, it's kind of like I mean, I've always been a big proponent of like live data driven decisions in a sport like cycling. So like live probability calculations based on historical performance. So like an ideal scenario would be like, say you've got a breakaway of 5 and you've got a rider in there, you run a quick calc in a spreadsheet or a model, and you're like, okay, in this situation, rider A has won 30% of the time. We're going to back him in to win today, or back her in to win today. I think what you've described there, Loren, is kind of like the analog version of that in a way, where it's like, okay, Franzi, I know that she's done, as a performance manager, I know she's done A, B, and C effort with X, Y, and Z level of fatigue for 1, 2, and 3 minutes of duration. I can ascertain roughly what the capability of the riders around her is. Therefore, she can do X, Y, and Z in this race. So let's back her. And like, I feel like that's kind of where we're at here. So it's like an analog, performance-led, data-driven decision in a way, which is really cool.
Which they do with football.
Loren, when you say a performance manager who's sitting in the car, how many teams do you think has that person instead of, say, just another director?
Yeah. I mean, when we're talking about the top teams, I think those people are always at the race. I mean, Lizelot is, if she's not there, it's one of the other let's call them the head coach. But within the performance team, you can have the performance manager, and then you can have 6, 7 coaches, basically, working with the different athletes, depending whether there's a men's and a women's team.
Yeah.
But I'd say now, like, in terms of who goes to the races, like when you're walking around those buses, there are a lot of people there. Sometimes even the psychologist is around, nutritionist is there. So when I'm talking
sometimes
about
2 nutritionists.
Exactly. In terms of performance, it's that in itself is a fantastic topic to just dive a bit more into, to understand like what we're seeing as well in the racing there's a direct correlation between all of that. And just as an agent speaking with teams now, when you get to that point when you're having that rider manager agent conversation, a big topic is like, well, what in terms of the performance team can you offer my athlete? And yeah, it's very exciting to see. It's a completely different time to my generation. Even Gracie, I think when you left the peloton, it was probably just starting.
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, I didn't see a lot of this stuff, so it's cool to hear about, especially because you're probably boots on the ground more than most of us nowadays. Like, just to see that evolution I notice that too when I get to go to the Tour de France, like how many people are involved. It's pretty astounding. But that's the biggest race. So it's kind of like, does that happen at every race or just World Tour races or just the big ones? But I think that gives some really cool insight to fans to be like, how many people are making decisions, and not all teams are doing this in the same way. And I think the teams that are not doing that now are the ones that are going to be starting to struggle. And we probably have a bit more insight behind the scenes on how some teams are run, and racing on old tactics or minimal data or arrogance, maybe. It's just, you can't afford to do that anymore.
I want to tie this conversation back to Binda specifically, because a couple things that you guys have pointed out have stood out. One, Georgie mentioned confidence, which I think you can point to teams in the race and say, like, obviously UAE Team ADQ was riding with a lot of confidence in the riders that they had and their abilities. And you can point to a team, like, we were hard on SD Worx Pro Time last week, and I think it was great to see Anna van der Breggen at the front of a bike race again, but I'm going to be hard on them again this week because they had Anna van der Breggen up the road, and she was working quite hard in that group. She was trying really hard to drop Swinkles and didn't drop her. So if you're talking about looking at post-race statistics and who is going to be able to outsprint the other, if Van der Breggen wasn't able to drop her on a climb, Swinkles was always going to win out of the two of them coming to the line. Like, there is not a world in which, except maybe 6 years ago, where Anna van der Breggen is going to outsprint Caroline Swinkles going into a like slightly uphill finish line. So the moment that Van der Breggen wasn't able to drop her on the Reno climb, she should have stopped working. And especially like when you're talking about confidence, knowing that in the group behind, Blanca Voss is sitting pretty, not touching the wind. She was third last year. And so knowing that she is there, in previous years, I think they would have said, okay, they have this cutthroat mentality as SD Worx Pro Time, and it has won them a lot of races. They clearly didn't have the confidence in Blanca Voss to be able to deliver had that group come back. And so they were banking more on Van der Breggen getting second, because if they thought she was going to win out of a sprint with Swinkles, it was an overestimation of her form, which we know hasn't been quite what it needs to be. And yes, she's looking a lot better, but still, Swinkles has already won a race this year. So, like, pulling in what you guys are talking about, confidence and also like real world analytics, on the spot analytics. Plus, SD Worx Pro Time is one of the teams that doesn't have a performance staff. They have they have 3 directors, I believe, 3 directors, sports directors. Danny, who's the team manager and also a DS, but they do not have a performance coach or any official performance staff with the team.
That's a gap. Particularly for a team that is meant to be at the caliber of SD Worx. Quite frankly, like, you can be hard-nosed and as old-fashioned as you want, be like, well, we're fine, we just have DSs, the riders manage themselves. But in reality, sorry, my dog is kicking me while stretching. In reality, they are doing their riders a disservice if they do not provide the support that other teams are getting. Like, if they do not have a performance manager, which I actually think at these days is base minimum if you're going to be a high-performing World Tour team. Like, I think there should be a performance director overseeing and having like a umbrella view over, like, every rider has their coach, or one, like, they'll have like 5 coaches that coach all the athletes, but then you've got a performance director who's then got an umbrella view over how every single athlete is going, that can then inform race selection with the DS for that race. Like, I believe that's, if SD Worx aren't doing that, that's low-hanging fruit that they can use to boost their performance this season. That's mind-blowing to me that they don't have that.
That is mind-blowing to me, and I had to actually just go look on the website to fact-check that. Not that I don't believe you, but no, because my mind is...
Yeah.
I should know this, actually, but I don't deal so much. My colleague deals a bit more because he's Kopeki's agent. But Danny Stam is the sports manager, so I wonder if in some way he functions as performance manager, but it's not the same thing. Like I said,
it's not. Like you need to have... Everyone needs their boundaries in which to play in, right?
Exactly.
Like you gotta let people be really good at their area and have collaboration across verticals as well, but you gotta let people excel in what they're really good at. I think Danny's trying to do too many things, and that way he can't be really good at anything.
Yeah, I agree. That's such an interesting point. I'm gonna dive into a bit further as to why.
Yeah. I doubt it. Do you think it's budget? Like, I mean...
No, it's not budget.
Yeah. Then what is it?
I mean, I do think that they have a smaller budget than like UAE and FDJ. Like, I think they are a team that before the golden age, we'll call it, of women's cycling, they had a relatively bigger budget. And now I think if you compare them to the likes of FDJ and UAE, they're one of the smaller budget top teams.
Can we, while we're talking about SD Worx, can we circle back to the moment when Anna van der Breggen and Swinkels crest the climb? And at that point in time, had the gap gone out to a minute by then? Because I'm curious to hear your opinion. Say at that point, the DS had said, all right, just sit on, don't even pedal, basically. And if she attacks you, just keep sitting on. Otterstad would have come back, and she did come back. And then she initiated that attack immediately, and it inserted pace. So I feel like at that point, once they committed to Van der Breggen trying to offload Swinkels and win the race that way, it was kind of said and done, just in terms of the gap. And we know how fast the run-in is, that even had Anna just sat on like she did, it would have played out the same way, right? And maybe in some situation, Otterstad, I think there was a moment actually where Anna, when Otterstad went, the commentator even said that Swinkle should have waited longer for Anna to bridge the gap and have risked it, risked Otterstad going. But then she had too much, she was gambling in the sprint. So I feel, it was always going to play out that way.
You've got to, I mean, Anna's experienced enough to know that, and same with Swinkles, like you've got to risk the loss to win the race.
Yeah. Do you think that they would have had the correct information over the radio of the gap over the top of that final climb? Like if they thought there was only 30 seconds instead of a minute or 40, like I agree though. I think Anna still could have played it a little cooler. She played it cool in the last kilometre and a half, but like I think that was a bit too late. Like I think she probably did the sprint well, but it was like she could have saved way more energy before that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Anna wouldn't have had the kick, like regardless of how much work she did to out sprint Swinkles. Like Swinkles has such a good kick at the end of a hard race. And do
you think it's an integrity thing? Do you think Anna she just likes to race like that? She doesn't,
I think
she's not really one to sit on.
Her default mode is racing. I mean, even we saw her at Strade Bianche last year when it was her and Demi Vollering, and you knew that Vollering was going to win with 3 kilometers to go with the two of them off the front, and Van der Breggen never stopped working. And I think that's one of the reasons that we love her, is because she's not going to play the game. She's just going to do the best that she can, and if she gets second, she gets second. I think that is fine in some instances, but when you have Blanca Vas in the group behind, who clearly had the legs to be able to contest a sprint had it gone differently, like the communication is not there within the team and the trust isn't as well. And I think like for Blanca Vas, she's a rider who, I don't know if she's on a contract year this year, but I'm curious to see what happens there, because she's such an incredible talent, and they have, I think in some instances, like really jerked her around. Like they haven't really given her the platform that she deserves with the amount of talent and the amount of hard work that she does and has. I think that she is a rider who could achieve a lot in this sport, and the same way that, you know, Picnic Pocinel, or when before it was Picnic Pocinel, held back Lorena Wiebes, I think that SC Worx Pro Time is holding back Blanca Voss. And I think that we know in hindsight that she had really good legs on the day when she won the bunch sprint. We don't know how Swinkles would have gone against her. Like, I think that UAE probably wouldn't have won the race had it all come back together in the end. But like, and that's something we'll never know, obviously. But I think the fact that they didn't take that gamble and say, okay, well, like Voss is in the back, and there are other riders on the team that they would have done that for. So yeah, that was kind of just a curious moment for me. But I think you're to your point, Gracie, Van der Breggen just loves to race her bike. And I think she also has like bigger things coming for the remainder of the season. So those extra turns, it's just more work done now that will pay off later. But that's thinking about herself and not the team as a whole, which is not something that we see much from Van der Breggen. Like, we've always seen her as a team player who is also very good at winning.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I got a sense. I got a sense that it was almost like a bit of a saving face type of performance.
I think that there are a lot of teams in the peloton right now who are starting to panic. There are two teams that are well and truly above the rest. And the rest of the teams are really starting to panic. Like Visma Lease, like maybe they're not panicking quite yet because in theory, this race doesn't really suit Marianne Vos anymore. And I want to talk about the depth of the peloton and how the race didn't break apart like we've seen it in the past on the climbs. I mean, it's been a sprint a couple times now with Elisa Balsamo taking the win. And I take it back. Like, Voss could still win this race. But I think the way that the peloton is right now, the depth of the field, that like those attacks that Elisa Longoborghini and Kasia Niewiadoma were throwing down 3 years ago, that would have completely split the peloton apart. Those would have been winning moves. But now the depth of the peloton is so, the strength of the peloton is so deep that there were so many riders that could hang on to those attacks. And part of it is that the climbs weren't long enough for them to make the difference there. But we've seen those climbs be long enough in the past for someone like Kasia Niewiadoma to attack and get away. So the fact that the race played out the way that it did, I think just highlights how strong the peloton is at the moment. But I think that it is isolated when it comes to winning to a couple teams. And if I'm Little Trek, if I'm SC Worx Pro Time, I am in full panic mode now because they have repeatedly come out disappointed. And for SC Worx Pro Time, they're at least going into Milan San Remo on like with the trump card of Lorena Wiebes. There is a level of desperation within the peloton that I think is not going to lead to better bike racing. It's still really good. Like, we still have great bike racing so far this year, but it can swing in one weekend.
Yeah,
for sure. And I think they, again, to your very first point, they had a super strong team there. And I don't think we saw like the A team from quite a few teams, like FDJ, of course, let's call it the A team, was not there. I think AG Insurance Sudal can be really happy with that result with fifth from Letizia Borghese. It's good to see that they're backing her. They brought her on the team to share leadership with Kim Lecourt-Pinard. I think once Kim is back, they're going to have a really strong dynamic team as well, a barrel as you call it. So we're going to see that more and more. I definitely think they're one of the competing teams for this season across the classics and also the tours.
I was really, really excited to see Pfeiffer Georgie in the mix for a little bit there. And there was one of those moves that she was able to hold on to, and she looked really good. And she's someone who, like, I mean, her favorite Taylor Swift song is All Too Well 10-minute version. So, like, I'm just a big fan of her right off the bat. But she's just had such a she's had such a rough go for the last couple of years. Remember, she had that season in was it 2023 when she won Bruges de Pana, and she just really came onto the scene as a big rider to watch for the future. And then the following year broke her neck. I saw her walking around with a huge neck brace for like a month afterwards. That Tour de France Femme avec Zwift crash that took out Demi Vollering as well, the famous crash in 2024. And then last year at the end of the year at the CMAC Latest Tour, she broke her hand. So like just a really rough string for Pfeiffer Georgie. And she's now at 25, one of the older riders on Picnic Post-Anel, and a rider that the team is really going to be leaning on for results. So I was really, really happy to see her in the mix, because I think she's a rider who, like, whenever she is on form, she makes the racing more exciting. She adds another team into the game. And so to have her up there, like, in the end, she finished 13th, which is nothing to write home about, but I think that it's a promising look for the future and for like the races to come to have her in there.
100%. I think she has been in the mix quite a bit this season, so it's been really good to see her back on form. And Christ knows Picnic need a rider like her to step up this season. So I'm hoping that she has like a bit of an easier run. And I think mentally, emotionally, and physically, she's in a really good place. So I'm really excited to see it, and she loves that team. It's been a great team to her. She really feels like she can thrive in that environment. Not every rider can at formerly DSM.
She's been on the team 8 years. I just checked, and I wonder if maybe now is the moment. She's in a contract year to look for a change.
Possibly. I mean, she's got the Palmares to back her up, and she's still so young. Really, she's got a long road ahead of her in terms of like a career, and she's also just a great human. So it's a rare breed for sure. She'd be able to fetch a pretty penny on the market. That's for sure. And I don't know if Picnic's. I know she loves the team, but I wouldn't know if Picnic has the kitchen sink to throw at this one like other teams do.
I think before we kind of move on to talk about the races to come, we obviously need to just briefly highlight the incredible performance by Ottestad to finish third on the day. And she was incredible last year. Like, we saw her with multiple breakthrough performances last year, the Tour of Norway, which isn't a World Tour race, but she won that, and Tour Down Under third last year, which was really good. But this year she's just had like a very consistent string of results that usually end in a big win. She was 8th and 3rd in 2 races in Mallorca. She was 5th, 4th in 2 stages of Setmana Valenciana, 3rd overall there, 14th at Strada, 8th at Trofeo Oro, and now 3rd at Trofeo Alfredo Binda. And so I think it's just like, she's one of those riders that is like now very firmly on the radar for races to come as someone who will be getting a big result this year, because you cannot have consistency like that and not walk away with at least another podium in a World Tour one day, if not a win.
Yeah, and Uno X is building the team around her, because, I mean, I think people think she's just this new rider, but she's actually been around for 10 years in the peloton. It's taken a bit longer for things to click. She's 28 years old, and now she's coming into the best years of her endurance career. So I'm really excited, a big fan of Ottestad.
Well, coming up this weekend, we have Milan San Remo, one of the newest races on the Women's World Tour calendar, but already a pretty behemoth race in terms of the riders that are going to be showing up. Last year, Lorena Wiebes won it just before winning Bruges de Pana and Ghent-Wevelgem. She did the triple. This year, she's going in as the #1 favorite, but there are a lot of riders on the start list who are going to want to make it hard for her. Noemi Ruig was 3rd last year, and she's already proved that she's riding quite well this year. Elisa Balsamo will be there for a little trek. Kat Ferguson, obviously. It's going to be Lisa Lamborghini, who almost won it last year. So it's going to be a really good race. And it's one of those interesting races where the course can be written off as not difficult enough, but the duo of climbs in the end with the Poggio and the Cipressa makes for a very dynamic finale where you'd think it would be a sprinter's race, and it sometimes is, but there's opportunities for other riders to try something. Which brings me into my thoughts on Milan San Remo going in. I think Wiebes is obviously the rider to watch, but if we think back to last year, when Elisa Lamborghini took the flyer with 1.4 kilometers to go and almost won the whole thing, there was only one reason why she didn't win the race, and that was Lotte Kopecky, who brought it back for Wiebes to be able to win. I think Wiebes is the favorite going in, but she doesn't have the team to back her like she did last year.
No,
is Kopecky not doing it?
No, Kopecky
she is.
Is she doing it? Well, she's also doing Nokota course.
Yeah, she is. Which is
then for sure she's not doing Milan San Remo. That would mean like she's in Italy, she's back to Belgium, she's back to Italy.
Wait, let's fact check this.
No, she's definitely doing Nokota course. She's on the start list.
Well, that's almost like a home race for her, right?
Yeah, she's won it before.
Twice.
Yeah.
And I think for Kopecky, it's probably more important for her to go to Nokere course and with the potential to win and get that little boost of confidence going into the rest of the classics than to be at Milan San Remo knowing that she's not going to win, even if she's going to make a difference for Wiebes. And Wiebes is arguably riding the same as she was last year, which was incredible. So going over the climbs, like she can get over those climbs, even if she doesn't have a team, but a team one teammate can make the difference in that final 4 kilometers after the descent. And so like not having Kopecky on form is a real blow.
So the SD Worx team at Nokta, of course, because we can just do a process of elimination because we don't have the start list for Milan San Remo. But we got the team riding in Belgium will be Lotte Kopecky, Baby G, Barbara Garushki, my girl, Julia Kopecky, Femke Marcus, Misha Bredwald, and Lisa Van Bell.
Nice. Kopecky is doing Milan San Remo.
Oh, she is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she'll be there. And I wouldn't say Kopecky isn't on form, because if we think of her season last year, I think she's in better state this year. But I do think for them to be successful there, they will have to go all in for Wiebes and not really give Kopecky a free roll on the Poggio, because then that could end up being dangerous for Wiebes if she gets isolated, say. But I think she'll be given a position where if the top dogs go, you go with them. So are represented.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense. But then she's going to need to be there in case we get someone doing another Elisa, which it's going to happen. I mean, this is only the second time they're racing this. And I think Gracie last year, you brought up the point, the questionable tactics that we saw on the climb before, the Cipressa, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
They've never raced it before, so they really don't know how this race is sort of going to unfold. It's not a stage in a tour or something. It's a classic race. And all the other races they've been doing for years. So I think there's like a certain recipe that works with these races. And it's sort of like, feeling it out and figuring out what does work where.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think last year's Milan San Remo was one of my favorite finales of the whole season. So I'm pretty excited for this one to see what they learned from last year, what they're going to try again or do differently. But yeah, like I guess the interest now is like who's in form that wasn't last year, what teams are stronger. And it seems to be the year of breakthroughs. So are we going to see a new face come to the fore as well? That could be interesting as well to see, the super teams, the current super teams, UAE and FDJ, playing the shabby card or something unexpected. Yeah,
are we going to see the new dynamic nature of the women's peloton in full force again.
Are we going to see like drop a post action with one of the
could you imagine? Who is the best descender in the women's peloton currently?
Oh, I mean,
There's a couple
years
really
ago I
good
would have
ones.
said like Cassia was one of them, but then I don't know.
Is it Puck?
Or
Yeah, I would say Puck
Puck,
is
yeah.
up there.
Puck's been climbing pretty well. We don't, and that's the other thing, like we don't have a climber that's like head and shoulders above everyone at the moment. Like, yeah, Bollering's going really well, but she had an off day at Strata. Kopecki's not flying. Vandenbreggen's not flying. Cassie's going well, but she's just still not quite strong enough to shell a bunch of people on the Cipressa or the Poggio potentially. So like, I think we're going to see quite a big group actually coming over the top of the Poggio.
Yeah, I'm with Gracie on this.
Yeah,
I think it depends. Like, I think that we have seen some pretty aggressive racing already this year, and I think that because there are so many teams that are still without a big win, we're going to see some really aggressive racing, especially on the climbs at the end. I think that this is a race Marianne Vos hasn't won yet. Obviously, there's only been one race so far, and so thus it is a race that is not on her palmares. And she looked very, very good at Strata, and was fine at Binda. She was 6th, which is good for almost any rider. But if you're Vos, you kind of are held to a higher standard than anyone else, even though she's, I mean, she's 38. She's not even old. She's just been around for forever. So I think that Visma Lisa Bike is a team that you can say, like, I think you can isolate teams based on how they might play the race. UAE Team ADQ, they're going to be on the attack. Eliza especially is going to be on the attack because the only way she can win is solo. You know that Visma Lisa Bike is going to go all in for Voss. You know that Canyon SRAM is going to be almost non-existent. Like, I think that they're a team that we haven't really talked about a ton because we've talked about Kasia, but we haven't talked about the fact that she's been pretty isolated in every scenario that she's been in so far, which is brings us back to Canyon SRAM of a couple years ago when she was consistently in the pointy end of races, but wasn't able to get results because she had no backing. And I think she's kind of in a similar boat now with the team, which is partially down to bad luck and crashes like at the Omloop Nieuwsblad. But it also means that we just don't know how they're going to try to win the race. AG Insurance have, like, if they want to go all in for Kim LaCourte, then they're going to have to also be aggressive. And I could see them trying to do like a lead out into the Poggio or something like that. Like, I think that you can try to figure out how the race is going to go based on how each team can win it. Which sounds like a really good written piece. I'll shoot that over to Matt Deneve.
Hey. Now, just...
Georgie, you free?
Yeah. Now, back on the riding horse, so to speak.
Thank goodness.
It's been so good to see more content from women's racing on the homepage of Escape.
Matt and I have been having a really, really good time working together. The match made in heaven, him and I. Anyway, so yeah, like Little Trek, like they have Balsamo. They're going to want it to be a reduced group going into the finish. And SU Worx, same with them. Like, they're going to want Weebus to be in the prime position. And they have a tendency to kind of let her race her own race because she'll be able to figure it out. But I think, like we saw last year, they won't want to risk just leaving it up to her to get over the climb and then get to the finish line first. So I think that it's like, I've always been of the mind that Milan San Remo is one of the worst races on the calendar until last year when the women had a race and I actually had a care in the world for how the race went. And I was like, oh man, now I understand why like this has the best 10 minutes of bike racing of the year, because it was such a good race last year. And I think because of the history of the race, because of the name attached to it, it's very similar to Paris-Roubaix, that like every team wants to win. which I think just means that it's going to be a fantastic race. And I think that it also means that while we're talking about the final, 20 kilometers of the race right now, there's 130 kilometers before then that like can make a difference, and we don't know how that can impact the race yet because it's only the second edition. We've seen races in the past where the teams have mucked it up so bad that the break wins,
Again, it's that unpredictability piece. Sorry.
Maybe you write that story, Georgie.
What? My burp or the unpredictability piece?
Predictability.
Assy. Yeah, I can do that. I hate using this word, but like the term agile is really interesting when it comes to the peloton currently. I feel like I don't know if it's also like, have you guys ever thought about how fueling has become so much better that like cognition is better? So like the riders are actually able to think more clearly when the heart rate's like 160, 170. In hour 5.
It's amazing what a bit of glucose can do for you.
I know, but it's like it's just mad. Like, do you think I reckon that's got a part to play in the elevation of tactics in the women's peloton.
You should do a performance piece on this.
Great point.
Yeah, I'd love to do. Maybe that's what I'll do.
Performance piece.
Just get your list going, Georgie.
Mate, I've got a long list.
Great. I'm so excited. All right. Well, I don't want to make picks because I feel like that is just too much pressure. Do you guys want picks, or should we wrap it up with some obsessions?
Obsessions.
Why don't we do picks on Instagram like the day before or something?
Oh,
Aaron,
we have an actual start list, because what we're looking at now is 1 to 2 riders per team.
Yeah.
All right, so marinate on it. I don't know if that is even a saying.
I love it. Yeah.
No, it is. It is a saying. Are you kidding? I use it all the time.
I will take a soy sauce
make
bath
the
and think about it.
Hey, you marinate. You marinate in it. You stew. You ferment.
What about a dry rub?
I love a dry rub. Yummy.
My mind went elsewhere.
Good.
Oh my god. Okay,
this podcast is a PG-13 plus only.
Who wants to obsessions first?
We all know what Georgie still is.
I mean, look, I can't go 15 minutes without mentioning her. Otherwise, I break out in hives. It's a health issue at this point. It's my dog, for first-time listeners. I got a dog. She's adorable.
Wait, did you get a dog?
I got a dog. See, look. I mean, I've been really struggling. I've had to put myself on mute and say dog. Otherwise, I will break out in hives. She's sitting right beside me. Here she is. Say hi, Nix.
Oh, she's a good girl.
Say hi. Ooh, it's motorbike.
Yeah, she's cute. You can have it.
Yeah. She's finally getting protective of her space, so she's very aware. She was sleeping, and now she's woken up. She sleeps belly up, usually. Not a stomach sleeper like her mother. That's fine.
Oh my god. Okay, what? How about you guys, Loren, Gracie? You guys have any obsessions?
Yes, I do. I've been binge watching Love Story. Anyone else across it? It's on Disney. It's about JFK Jr. and Caroline Bessette.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I've heard about it, but I haven't watched it. So
they have phenomenal fashion. Have you guys seen the fashion, like JFK Jr. and Caroline Bassett's fashion, like before their tragic accident, obviously, but like their fashion choices,
icons.
Complete.
Yeah, but it all stems from the mother, Jackie O, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she was an icon. And it just it's about America's obsession with them and really this love story between the two of them. that's such a brief description, but yeah, I've been just binge watching it. It's been a really easy watch. I didn't know too much about the family, and I like sometimes how you watch a dramatized version of someone's life like this, and then it creates a bit of interest to then go look a bit deeper into the family. And that family experienced a lot of tragedy through the years. I think they called it the Kennedy curse. But yeah, I've been enjoying it. I think I've got one episode to go. I'm fascinated by her character, Carolyn, and sort of this. Yeah, she has this internal battle where, like, she's a very private person. She's very independent. And then to be thrown into this very public life, like it almost didn't happen, the relationship, because, yeah, you can just sort of see that there's like a really great scene of them in the park where they're having like this huge fight with each other. I guess it's dramatized as well between and it's basically plays over hours that they capture in 10 minutes of them trying to talk through how it could work, that they could find that balance where she is in the public eye, but they can still keep it as private as possible. Yeah, I don't know. I just enjoyed it. And I probably didn't articulate as well as the screenwriters had intended it to be. But yeah, it's a good watch. And they're gorgeous.
Nice.
So it was easy on the eyes.
Sorry, I was coughing. No, I've added it to my list. That's exciting. Thank you, Loren.
Yeah, Disney. Or Hulu?
Yeah. Same in Europe.
Yeah.
My obsession is also a TV show. Tom's and I have been watching the new season of Shrinking, and I just freaking love this show. It's so good. Have you guys seen Shrinking with Harrison Ford and Jason Segel?
Yes, I watched one episode. Yeah.
On my list.
It's
too.
so
Sounds
good.
like a good one.
I mean, Bill Lawrence just has this ability to like have comedy and like really deep emotional plot lines running at the same time. And it's so incredible. And Scrubs is one of my favorite shows of all time ever, hands down. Like, I can't wait for the reboot to come to Europe because it's not set to premiere here until next week. But yeah, I think everything Bill Lawrence touches turns to gold. And Shrinking for me is like one of the best TV shows that's been made in the last like 10 years. So really enjoying the third season.
Oh, do you know whose obsession this was? Abby Wambach and
Glennon
Doyle.
Glennon Doyle. They look fantastic at the Oscars. You guys see them?
That's also been an obsession, actually.
Yeah.
Last night.
Also,
I haven't
Ashlyn
caught up
Harris
on my
looks
Oscars
hot as
fashion.
well.
Oh yeah, since the Met Gala is a no-go this year, Gracie, we can share fashion thoughts over the Oscars red carpet.
Okay. I have to catch up first. I haven't consumed enough pop culture lately. Been busy and stuff, but I've been just watching some crap TV. It's not crap, but it's just easy to watch. I've been watching a show called Younger. It's not even new anymore. It's just so easy to watch 20-minute episodes. The characters are great. It's peak millennial. It's very soothing for this millennial.
Okay, can we discuss, like, do you think millennials are goofier than Gen Z?
Oh, for sure. I mean, like in our peak time.
Do we laugh more?
Yes, definitely.
Like honestly, I think we do. Like, is it because we're in this, like, if we don't laugh, we cry kind of mentality of, like, we were like landline Nokia era all the way through to, like, the invention of Facebook. And then we went to iPhone. So we knew the good life, but we got a taste of, like, convenience.
Exactly.
But we kind of like the inconvenience sometimes.
I think that this what are they called? What generation are they? The younger ones?
The younger ones, we can just call them that.
Z.
Yeah, the younger ones. I just think now everything is captured. Like,
Yeah.
everything is curated. Like, I always talk about it to my colleagues, but like when I'm riding my bike, I drop the kids and then I pass all the teenagers going to school, and they're clones. They're clones. They dress identically. There is absolutely no difference in style. And it's like, I call it the uniform. It's those like super baggy jeans that drag on the ground. A hoodie.
Like I dress like that sometimes, not gonna lie.
That's
Gen Z
fine.
fashion is extremely comfortable.
Yeah, but that's all
I mean,
they
we were
wear.
the skinny jeans, low-rise skinny jeans era. Like, Christ, some of the shit that I wore.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll
I
never
just
see
think
the
it's,
light of day.
yeah, it's,
I took my
Loren,
daughter ice skating on Sunday, and there was a whole group of them on the ice, and they did not have any spatial awareness. And they were all wearing the exact same outfit.
the
So,
uniform.
the uniform.
I
What
hate
were
to
you
say
saying,
it, but I
Gracie?
feel like I hate to say it, Lauren, but I feel like you've just entered the zone where commenting on people's outfits means that you're old now.
The
Because
youth
it's always
these
the
days.
pants. It's always the pants. They're too baggy or they're too tight. It doesn't matter.
Man, what about the shorts? What about the like capri baggy shorts that they wear?
I wouldn't mind some of those. They look comfortable.
I feel like the outfit as well, it depends like on the climate you live in and where you live. Like, so I'm going to keep calling it the outfit. But like, if you think about,
I feel like we should just end the podcast.
Yeah,
This is why
we're officially
we-
uncool.
I'm
It's
just
okay.
I'm just tired and emotional, and I spent way too much money on Depop.
You know who would wear the outfit and pull it off like impeccably? Kat Ferguson.
I think,
Yeah. Well, I mean, but
And
she's
I've tied
hero.
it all together and scene. Thanks everyone so much for listening. We'll be back next week to talk about Milan, San Remo. Hopefully everyone has a great weekend. And thanks you all for being here to talk bike racing with me.
tag us in your photos
Pants.
with your outfit,
Yeah, tag
Yes,
us in your uniform pics.
your uniforms.